Hello! Alright, hey guys, a little catch up on circles now. We're going to be doing circumference, area, remembering what pi is, remembering the difference between radius and diameter, and then we'll throw in a little semicircles too, just for kicks and giggles. Okay, so, basics of the circle first. Basic. We've got our perimeter, so there's still always a perimeter, but in the world of circles, we like to call it the circumference. So remember the perimeter being like the fence for all the other shapes with flat edges? The circumference is that same fence. Only this time we've got a round house, maybe like a pool. We'll say it's a pool. We're going to put a fence around the pool so the kids don't fall in. Alright? So that's our circumference. Now, to figure out how big our circle needs to be, we can do it a couple different ways. We have a radius, which is the very center, so the very, very middle point of our circle, to the edge, right? Because as long as it's a circle, it's going to be the same all the way around. Or the diameter, which cuts it exactly in half. So it goes from one side to the other through that middle point that the radius starts from. Now I have a little formula over here. Whenever I give you the radius or whenever I give you the diameter, you can find which one you need. And then you go, so the radius is 1/2 the diameter. So whatever the diameter is, the radius is always half of it. Whatever the radius is, the diameter is always twice it. And when I say twice, I don't mean squared, but I mean added. So if the radius is 4, then the diameter is going to be 4 and 4. So 4 plus 4 equals the diameter. So the diameter would equal 8. Okay? And again, that's diameter. Okay. So, for this particular situation, we'll go ahead and use this. Got my handy dandy calculator. Okay, so I'm going to do the circumference first. So I represent circumference with a big C. I'm going to say C equals 2 pi r. And it doesn't matter which way you write it because you're still multiplying it the same way across. So I'm going to have 2, literally just the number 2, times pi. Well, in our class, pi actually goes on a very, very, very long time. But for our class specifically, we're going to use 3.14. So I'm going to take that 3.14 and I'm going to plug it into my equation. 3.14 times, and again, these little dots means multiply, the radius. Well, I already decided my radius is 4, so I don't have to do anything else. I'm literally just multiplying now. So I'm going to take my calculator, and I'll get really close. Can you see it? Maybe? Yeah. So I'm going to take 2 times 3.14 times 4 equals, and I come up with 25.12. So my circumference of this circle is equal to 25.12. Now I didn't give you any units, so you don't have to give units in the answer. And what this means is a circle whose radius, so from the center point out, which is 4, that means the whole thing around the circumference, this, if I put a string around all of this, that string would be 25.12. Whether it be inches or centimeters or feet or miles, it doesn't matter. But whatever the unit would be, it would be 25.14. So you can kind of see from this, if I had to tell you, or if I told you, the radius is 4, if you had to guess how around the circle is, you'd have to look, and it's almost multiple of 6. So it's almost times 6 to get the circumference. So if I were to give you this equation and I said I wanted to build a fence around my pool and I needed to come up with enough material and I said quick guess, then you could almost go, okay, well, 4 times 6 is 24, so I need a little bit more, so I'll probably need to bump it up. So you won't have a lot of equations like that by any means, but it's just a way of kind of thinking about it in real life terms. If you're going to go to the like Lowe's or Home Depot and you got to say, I need this much material, well, if you don't know this equation right off the top of your head and you're having to guess, would you actually guess that number? Is that a number that you would actually guess? So you got to know the actual equation or actually get out there with a measuring tape and measure it all the way around in little sections to figure it out. So the equation is useful in real life. That was the point of that ramble. Okay, so next up, we're going to do area. And I'm going to add in that this is 4 centimeters, just because I can. Okay, so our area formula is pi r squared. I've got area equals pi r squared. So I'm going to plug in my 3.14 again. So I've got 3.14 radius squared. So my radius is 4 centimeters. Now the centimeters right now isn't going to do a lot. You can put it in there if you want, but you have to make sure when you give an answer, if you ever receive a problem with units on it, then your answer needs to be in the same units or converted to whatever is asked for. So I'm going to have my 4 centimeters and it's going to be squared. So this is actually going to be 3.14 times 4 squared is 16, and I'm not going to put my units on. So I'm going to take my calculator. 3.14 times 16 is equal to 50.54, or I'm sorry, 50.24. It's a different color. So my area is equal to 50.24. Again, I've given centimeters, so it's centimeters. Now also, this centimeters is in here, it's the squared part, so that means the centimeters get squared as well. So it's actually the same as 4 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Or I could say 4x times 4x would give you 16x squared. I'm sure you can see that. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be squared. Area is always going to be squared. Square foot, square inches, square, a lot of things. Okay, so that's our area. And again, I always like to remind everybody you can always pause or stop or work ahead and then come back and see how I did it versus how you would have done it, just for more practice. Alright, again, math is always, always, always practice. So next up, we're going to do a semicircle. So I'm going to erase this. Now, a semicircle means half of a circle. Alright, so I'm going to say my radius is still 4, which means my diameter is going to be 4 plus 4, because I'll need to know it for the circumference. Now looking at this, if I would say the circumference, you'd say, okay, well it has to go around. Well, it also has to make this little half thing here. So this would be kind of like, maybe putting in a jacuzzi on your back of your house, and you don't want to square it all off. You want it to be kind of round, maybe? I don't know. I can't really think of a good reason why you'd have a semicircle anywhere as far as perimeter goes. Just perimeter. Okay, but for our circumference formula, we're actually going to do 2r pi divided by 2, because what I'm doing right now is I'm doing just the ring part. So a normal circle would continue on like this, right? Well, I don't need this bottom part, but I am going to have this line here that I wouldn't normally have. So we're going to add in plus d for diameter. So my circumference of a semicircle, just a semicircle, is going to be the outer ring plus this line right here, the diameter. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 times r, which is 4, times pi, which we already decided is 3.14, divided by 2, because it's just half the circle, plus my diameter, which is 4 plus 4. So I'm going to have a diameter of 8. So I'm just going to do my math. So I'm going to take 2 times 4 times 3.14 is equal to 25.12. Now I'm going to divide that by 2, and I get 12.56. So I've got 12.56 plus my 8. So I'm literally just going to add 8 to it. So plus 8 is equal to 20.56. So my circumference is 20.56. And again, I didn't give you any kind of units, so you don't have to give it units in your answer. Okay, so that was the circumference, so just the outer ring for a semicircle. Alright, so now area for a semicircle, area is going to be a little bit easier because area is everything inside, right? So area for a circle would be everything inside, and I don't have to worry about this straight line. I literally can just take the area formula and divide it by 2, and that is half of my circle. So I'm going to take area equals pi r squared and divide it by 2, and that's my formula for a semicircle, just a semicircle. So I'm going to set it up. Area equals pi, which is 3.14, times r squared, so I've got 4 squared over 2. So I've got area is equal to 3.14 times 4 squared is 16, and the whole thing divided by 2. So this is my decimal place down here, and this is a multiplication circle. Okay, so I'm going to take my calculator, 3.14 times 16, okay, equals 20 or 50.24, so like we had before, divided by 2, 25.12. So my area for this semicircle, my area is equal to 25.12. And again, I didn't give units, so you don't have to give units. But know that this is just how much space it would take to fill in that. Alright? And that is the end of our circles. Okay, so circles aren't that complicated. They're just like what we did with triangles, a couple of formulas that you have to memorize and just practice using, and you'll get the hang of it. Alright? You guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Bye.